back again with another fresh cut. You are now tuned into the underground. My name is Mbaya. I go by the doctor. If you are not subscribed yet, you need to do so ASAP, right now. What you are about to witness is the long overdue full-length haircut video on the tapered fade. Hit that like button, share this video. Definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel. Barbers, stylists, remember, it's all about being transparent and remaining a student regardless of status. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you need to do so ASAP. If you don't follow me on TikTok, you need to do that right now. If you don't have me on Facebook, please go and get me on that. I post daily content, everything from barber health, we're talking physical, workouts, as well as barber tips, hacks on how to fade better, taper better, line up better. You name it, I got you covered. Anyway, if you're here and you clicked on this video, this is part 2 to my original video, which was part 1 of tapered fade on how to do a lineup on somebody that has really low density in the front of their hairline. As you can see, all I am doing so far here is prepping and combing. Now, last time around, if you want to go check out the video that I did, the part 1, I faded him first, then I did the lineup the traditional way. But in this case here, I'm going to demonstrate something that is more unorthodox. We are going to do the lineup first, then do the tapered fade. The reason for this is to help preserve as much hair as possible due to how dense it is in the front. Now, some people definitely did DM me and mentioned, was that a tapered fade or a shadow fade? This can be whatever you want to call it, to be honest, because everybody's barber lingo is definitely different. People will say tapered fade when they really mean a bald fade. People will say high fade when they really mean a high taper. We're gonna go ahead and get into this cut. I have everything nice and prepped so far. It's combed out, brushed, everything smooth. I'm going to, of course, start by executing the lineup. Mind you, I am not going to be cutting anything down yet. All I am going to do is the lineup. So I'm going to start around the ear and work my way down the neck all the way to the nape. Make sure we have a good clean arch around that ear. And oh my goodness, look at that good old Gamma go. These things are straight daggers. This is the hitter from, of course, Stylecraft Gamma Plus. Same thing. These are my go-tos. The Gamma team, Stylecraft, are killing it in the game right now. These are perfection. The precise precision that these things do is beyond explanation. I cannot even articulate that for you to understand. I just know that they do the job. If you know what I'm saying, you know. When you use the corners on these things, oh my goodness. You can use the full blade and lay it down on the skin, but there is nothing like using those corners when it comes to the Gamma hitter. Now, if you want to know what it is that I did to the Gamma hitter for it to be as precise as it is, trust me on this, this is not even a secret. Usually, I don't do what I am about to say. Although, I did do exactly that. Hypocrite. I ended up adjusting this trimmer, which I am so against. Now, if you've been following me, keeping up with me for some time now, I am really against so-called zero gapping. I don't think it's that deep to zero gap anything. Well, as far as these Gamma hitters, when they first came out of the box, they were not doing the job how they should. So I had to just slightly ever just move the blade, you know, the lower blade, which is the steel blade, versus the moving blade, which is the upper blade. I slightly moved the upper blade to just be right under the bottom blade. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have too much of a close zero gapped situation. It's just, there's still gap there so that you can still clip the hair. I just feel like zero gapping, by technicality, when you have the zero gap, it's so dangerous. If that's what we call adjusting nowadays, zero gapping, so be it. While we're on the topic, I might as well mention that I will be putting out a full video that will be maybe about 10 minutes or less, breaking down how to adjust your Gamma hitters properly. So So stay tuned for that. Look out for it. But anyway, we're all complete and done with the lineup, and I'm going to start working on my fade. So I'm going to kind of put a guideline right in the middle of the head, just marking where I want to lay in my first guideline. I definitely do want to mention to everybody that is viewing this that I am a bit of a rebel when it comes to the style that I approach my haircuts. It's very unorthodox, but trust me, the more you watch my videos, the more you get in tune with my content. It's very easy. Now, what I mean by it's really easy to follow my haircuts is I'm going to tell you everything, and I'm going to execute by showing it in the video. So when I first created that first guideline, I didn't have my clipper all the way open. I had it on the second to last lever click. So I'm doing the same thing with my number one guard right now. I have it open, but not all the way. I have it on my second click. This is due to the client's request. He does appreciate a stubble style tapered fade. He doesn't like his tapered fade all the way low to the skin, or let's say if this was a ball fade is a ball fade, but he likes some stubble left behind. So definitely got to do what the client wants. So up next here, I am moving over to my number 2, of course on that second click, as well as the 3, second click only. I will always do this when I work my way up. I have the lever open to a good enough level that I see fit for the style of haircut. Then as I work my way down, I slowly start to move the lever. So what I did do just now is I closed it all the way and started to zero out with the 3, removing the guidelines. Then I'm going to start slowly working my way back down. So I had my click on the second one, so I'm going to move it to the third. And as I move lower into the fade, I'm going to move it up. You see what I'm saying? So you do that for each guard. So I use the 3 at the highest point, right by the ridge. Then underneath the ridge, I used a 2, and I used a 1 in the middle part of the fade on the side. Then of course I used no guard at the lowest point of the fade for that first guideline. So make sure you're keeping up with all of this. You have to open and close, open and close. This technique will help you achieve these blurry blends. So in this case, I started off with that second click with the clipper lever open. Then I go in by closing it all the way. Okay, I close it all the way. Then I start to remove the line, slowly moving down from the first click to the second, to the third, and so forth. It will make sense the more you practice this. Trust me, you will appreciate it. Like I say, keep on watching my content. It's going to make more sense. I'm going to always try to break this down further so that way you can get it. It sounds complex, but it's really not. It's really just practice. The more repetitive you get about it, the better you are with it. And some of you watching this may know what I'm talking about. And those who are new to the channel or are still getting the hang of doing their fades, tapers, you name it, you have to learn what kind of clipper you're using. Are you working with a more fluid lever, or is it a click? Like, I appreciate the clicks. I love the clicks. The clicks are amazing. They keep me in tune with the cut. I'm really in it. I know the click is annoying to some people, but so be it, whatever. You know, at the end of the day, it's all preference, depending on what your cutting style is. Some people do like the lever adjustable clippers. Some people like the clipper over comb technique. Some people enjoy the detachables, which are really annoying in my opinion, but they have their purpose. So you just can't go dissing, knocking anybody's way of cutting hair. There's no wrong way of cutting the hair. As long as you can execute the job properly, go for it. Do what you got to do. Like I said, I'm very unorthodox with how I go about my haircuts, but trust me, it's easy to me. It seems like a lot of work, but guess what? the look that I go for, based on what my clients are telling me, in order to execute my style, I need to have the freedom to do what I please. Okay? I have to go about this haircutting style the way I please. Okay? Like, this hairline looks like it's been enhanced just because I started off by lining it up first, then I blended up to the line that I created. You get what I'm doing here? So it looks enhanced. It looks as if it's been manipulated with color, but that's not the case. This is a true natural enhancement with nothing but trimmers and clippers, and of course a comb and a brush. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat that same thing that I did on the left side. I'm showing you how I have the clipper open, but I'm putting it on the second click and going ahead and creating my first guideline. Then I'm going to follow up next with my number 1 guard consistently with the same opening of the lever. Okay, so make sure you get that first guideline in really clean. You slap on that number 1 and keep that same consistency with the lever. This is just how I'm going about creating the guidelines. Like I said before, if I didn't mention it, he likes to have a nice clean fade, not all the way bald, but he likes to keep some stubble. So we're gonna go ahead and put on the 1.5, same consistency with the lever open, working all the way up to a 2. Then we're gonna jump right into a 3, connect those, and start blending our way down. When you're working your way up, creating the guidelines, always keep your lever open. Then when you start to blend down, connecting the guidelines, zeroing them out, you start to close. So now that everything has been established with the number 3, I already did the close technique with the 3. Didn't need to do too much. We're gonna go ahead and work on the number 2. So I'm gonna close it over to the 3rd click. Start connecting the guidelines and trust the process. Always remember, make sure you're patient. Do not rush. Never skip any steps ever. Follow through every time. And if you're really appreciating the information, please leave a comment. If you don't like it, please let me know. If you want to see other different techniques that I have to offer, please leave a comment. I got you covered. There's many different ways to go about this. This is not the only way to do this. The reason why I find this technique to be the easiest way to achieve blurry blends is it's always consistent. As long as you follow through with it and don't cheat yourself through the process, you will be just fine. A lot of the times in the past, from my experience, I remember always getting really frustrated with certain hair textures. It was definitely a journey to get to this point. I'm not the best barber, but I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes down to showing and executing a process of how something's supposed to be done. So you can definitely check out a lot of different barbers, but one thing I had to learn is you have to minimize how many people that you are watching do something. That's with any field. That's with anything. You can watch everyone from the worst to the best and learn something. From the worst, you should learn how not to be bad. From the best, you should learn how to be good. Keep practicing techniques. When you pick up on something that you just saw that looked really easy and was done and executed in a very precise and simple, easy way for you to follow, practice that. Give it a shot. Go at it for about a month. If you have to make it a week or 2, do it every day for 7 days straight. Do it every day for 14 days straight and see what happens after that. If you're not appreciating it, move on to the next. Just trial and error. That's all I'm saying. You're gonna find what works for you, what's more ideal, what's not. So I'm gonna zoom in on this just a little bit just so you can see the blurry blend that we are achieving. I wish I would have did this before when we were first starting to create this blend, but you see how smooth the transition is? That's what you're looking for, transition. You're looking for symmetry. Everything has to be evenly distributed on each side. So if you remember when I used the comb to create a guideline in the head, that's just one of my little cheat sheets. So if you noted that, keep that in mind. You know, one thing that's very popular amongst a lot of people is using the brush. Don't forget about the comb. The comb is the best tool that you can ever use during the haircut. It helps pick up the hair. That's why if you see when I'm working with longer hair versus what I have now, I only use the comb. The lower I get the hair is when I bring out the brush, okay? That's the easiest way that I can explain that to you. If you wanna make sure you have a good uniform haircut, start off with a comb, then move on to a brush. The smoother you get the hair. Like, you can use a brush when prepping and all that good stuff. Like, if you remember, I was using the brush when I was prepping the hair, but definitely always remember to utilize each tool for what it's meant for. Work smarter, not harder. I know some of you may look at what I'm doing as I'm working too hard, but it's actually working smart, in my opinion, unless someone that's watching thinks otherwise. I truly hope not. I also just want to let you all know that I intentionally shoot the whole time. I make no cuts. I speed it up a little bit just to get through certain parts of the video, but I'm going to show you everything that I'm doing. There's no gimmicks here. Like, I just sprayed water, plain water, on top of the hair, and I intentionally put it around the lineup. If you haven't heard me say this before in my past videos, I put water on the lineups instead of holding spray, which is very annoying. I do use it, I'm just not a huge fan of holding spray. It's so messy, it builds up, it gets nasty, super crunchy, it slows your trimmers down, it allows you not to even execute the job properly, and it gets your people shiny in the front. I mean, I get it when you're using like fibers, you know, whatsoever, to hold the hair in place. Yeah, sure, I get it. There's nothing better than water, in my opinion. And besides, the water moves the hair a lot better to be cut. This will depend and vary from each hair texture, but you should try it. And make sure you have like a good mister, as in a mister spray bottle, you know? It's a mist of spray, nice and evenly distributed. It falls on the person's head, skin, all that good stuff perfectly. Anyway, moving forward here, we're all done with picking out and blow drying out the hair, as in straightening it out, really. I can use a hot comb, but I'll rather not do that. We're gonna try to keep this as natural as possible. Besides, I don't wanna have my guy out here looking like a clown. So we're gonna keep his hair as is. The heat from the blow dry is just enough. You can use it at a medium, but I prefer high. So we had that thing scorching. And before I complete my infamous ambidextrous shaping up technique, I'm just touching up the lineup, taking advantage of that water that I sprayed on top of the head, which I slightly misted over the lineup. As the hair is drying up and the skin is drying up from the water that was sprayed on the top of the head, I take advantage of the ash line that the heat from the blow dryer created with the water being sprayed on the skin, making sure that I have a super natural as possible ash lineup. So you don't really see the ash from this angle. I think I may have had the camera a little bit far from the client for this part, but there is a slight ash that is being created because of the water that was sprayed on top of the skin. This is pretty much close to what a shampoo will do for your client's line. For example, when you air dry after a shampoo, this is what happened. But in this case, it was dried away by the blow dryer. Unintentionally, but very intentional because of how I use this technique. Keep this in mind. Trust me, give it a shot one time and you will see what I mean. It's amazing. So just tightening up everything, making sure everything is thoroughly touched up and done before we move on to the shaping up. So, I know you gotta admit, that shape up was pretty impressive, wasn't it? I know you saw me switching the hands, right? But anyway, not to brag, I want everybody to at least attempt, whether you are a lefty or a righty, switch hands every once in a while, whether you're doing the lineup, whether you're creating your guidelines, blending, shaping up the top, freehanding, whatsoever. Switch hands. You gotta be able to use both your hands. I remember when I used to cut hair with just one hand, but for example with my fading, I usually stick to one hand. There's times where I will switch up sometimes, but with the lineup, for example, I switch hands all day. When it comes to shaping up, I'm definitely switching hands. There's an advantage of being able to switch hands. Like I've seen some people that have the skill set of being able to switch hands with their straight razor, which I wouldn't dare do because I'm a righty and I stick to the right hand. I'm pretty fresh with the razor, as you can see. I'm very precise, I'm very particular. But with that being said though, you still want to execute this properly, be efficient, be consistent, don't halfway do the job. I'm not saying just go ahead and start using your less dominant hand. You gotta graduate towards that. Over the years, trust me, you will start to see why it is important to be able to use the other hand. If you're just sticking to one side, you start to develop weird things such as arthritis. I've heard before. I don't have arthritis, I hope I don't. You want to keep certain muscle groups moving. Do not let them get stiff. Keep on exercising the muscles, stretching the muscles. Work out. Simple as that. Trust me, it'll go a long way. Otherwise, if you are not careful, you may develop imbalances. There's going to be a lot of fatiguing going on, low circulation, you name it. You don't want any of that going on. So try to make sure you're utilizing both hands, arms, all that good stuff. Use your body for how it's meant to move. You know? Use everything ergonomically, from the tools to the barber chair. Try to avoid walking around the chair a lot. I mean, I know when I'm shooting these videos, there's times where I have to walk around the client because I'm not trying to block the view of the shot. I'm not trying to be in the frame. I'm not trying to have you seeing my back all day. I'd rather you watch me cut the hair of my client versus looking at my back the whole time. But anyway, people, I appreciate you all for watching all the way through. This haircut's pretty much a wrap. All I have to do now is the final touches. Now, I know you see that. This thing is definitely looking pretty good. It looks as if it's been enhanced. Like we have color on his hair, but we don't. I didn't apply anything. You watched this whole haircut process all the way through. I didn't do anything to manipulate that lineup other than using The last thing was a straight razor. We used 2 different trimmers, and of course we blended and faded the haircut out with a clipper. I used my trusty good old Rebel. That might be my favorite clipper right now to use, honestly. That thing's dope, pretty amazing. Like I say, Gamma, Stylecraft, killing the game right now. Amazing. And of course, keeping it real clean and simple with the twist up comb. Good old texturized natural top. Let y'all see that. Hope y'all are feeling this haircut. Definitely stay tuned for more. I hope you found this video helpful. I want to also remind you that there's no enhancements used on this. I'm going to give my guy a quick spin in a second, just so you can see how crazy lighting and angles play a huge role. So this angle that I have my client on is the most infamous angle that you will ever see. Most barbers use this. They manipulate that angle, which is very annoying in my opinion, because it's not fair to show the haircut from just one angle. This can be very misleading promo. It looks good regardless of what style haircut it is when you show from this angle. But when you spin the client and let it be seen, show off all the work, let the people see what's going on, zoom in on that, you see a whole different deal. Just wait, give it a second, be patient. I'm just prepping my man before he walks out. Look at that, the angle's already starting to change. I'm gonna give him one more spin, bring him towards the front. I just want you all to pay attention to the details here. Lighting is crazy. And the way you cut the hair is very interesting, what it does on the hair. This definitely depends on what hair texture it is, but I have mastered how to manipulate the hair in a fashion where it will come off as if it's been manipulated with color. A lot of people will see this off at the first glance and feel as if it's been manipulated with color, but no, just a good old natural cut. Nothing fancy, nothing extra, just a good old natural. As always, leave a comment, share the video, follow me, keep up with me on all my different platforms. If you are in my area, book an appointment now. I'm always accepting new clients. I'm always down for a new challenge. Definitely do not forget to subscribe to this channel. And I'm out.